Love it or hate it, comic book media is here to stay. Superheroes have been everywhere recently. What was once a hobby for your kids and nerdy adults is a multi-billion-dollar public phenomenon. A good hero story can hit us where it hurts and really make us see the best in humanity, but what about those times when the writers missed the mark? That's right, we are talking about bad romance. Specifically, the worst relationships in all of comics. Now, I know there's a lot of continuities in comics, so I want to make it abundantly clear. I'm not speaking about the characters on a wider whole. I'm mostly speaking about the characters themselves as they are written in these specific stories mentioned, which are indubitably disgusting. Some of these are like a fart under a blanket. It's going to get pretty rancid, so let's get started with... Let's just come out of the gate swinging. We love Scarlet Witch, right? We know she loves her brother, but what if I told you there's a comic run where they love each other? No, I'm not kidding. This is a comic where Scarlet Witch and her brother Pietro enter into a romantic relationship. I have actually spent my whole life thinking they weren't related in the Ultimate Universe because I was like, there's no way they'd actually do an plot line. But in reading all the comics for this video, I got hit with the absolute meanest wiggy schwiggy that I could ever imagine. Gosh darn. To put into perspective of what kind of story you're in for, in Ultimates 3 issue number 1, this comic literally starts off with Iron Man and Black Widow's sex tape being aired on CNN. So take from that what you will. What's crazy is they literally hit Captain America with the meanest gaslighting this entire comic. I was about to make this video a over-sexualization in media thing, then I saw what Wanda was wearing and was like, bruh, this joint writes itself. So then Captain America goes, ma'am, can you please wear something a little less revealing? And Pietro threatens to kill him. Then Wasp comes and hits bro with the meanest mental juke. You don't get it, Mr. Rogers, do you? It's more than that. They love each other. And Cap goes, of course they do. They're brother and sister. She hits him with the anime female lead pose. They're in love. And... bro, look at Captain America's face. They really hit bro with the okay boomer. To make matters worse for the Avengers this run, Thor is dating a 19-year-old girl who got the powers of a goddess. Now, 19 is above the legal age of consent, but considering bro is like old and she's barely out of high school, I'm not going to get too deep into it because I know there's going to be some fella in the comments like, well, Rishun, you're consenting adults. You're the weird one here. And if I really wanted to, I could fill this entire list with the Ultimates Marvel run, so... how's about we lower those ages a bit? Green Lantern, Hal Jordan, and Arisia Rrab. Hal Jordan is already a character that gets shafted by everything. Bro is to modern DC what Aquaman is to the Super Friends. In Tales from the Green Lantern Corps, a 1980s comic run, we're introduced to a new teenage Green Lantern from the planet Graxos 4 named Arisia Rrab. Arisia is the newest Green Lantern in this run. She's spunky, a little bit naive, and she's 13 years old. Now, come on guys, there's no way DC would actually allow a grown Hal Jordan to enter a sexual relationship with a minor, right? Right? So in this issue, Green Lantern is introduced to Arisia Rrab. She's the newest GL and needs a mentor because of that. Our good old Hal Jordan takes it upon himself to bring this untested, insecure teen under his wing as his little sister. To summarize, she develops a bit of a schoolgirl crush on him, which only progresses worse and worse to the point that when writers Steve Englehart, Joe Staton, and Mark Farmer took charge of the stories, the crush started to progress to more sexualized clothing and, of course, flirting. Now, the adult thing to do would be to nip this in the bud and avoid this situation entirely, but GL is a narcissist and thrives off the attention, so instead of calling her little sister, he starts to call her Honey. Speaking of which, this video is not sponsored by Honey. It's sponsored by you guys. Thank you for 1,000 subscribers and thank you for watching. If you watched the video up until this point, then I'll ask, please subscribe and like the video. It doesn't cost anything and you will only end up getting more stuff that you like. Back to it. Later on, he actually has a stern conversation with Arisia where she explains that her planet revolves around their sun twice as much as ours, so she's actually not a teenager. She hits bro with the 10,000-year-old anime dragon 7-year-old, to the which Hal tells her, yeah, you are a teenager and I'm uncomfortable. Which, editor's note here, hey Hal, if you're uncomfortable with the situation, why are you still hanging around her? Better yet, why are you calling her Honey? In Green Lantern Corps 206, this is solidified. Because of Arisia's undying love and devotion for Hal, her ring then transforms her into an adult version of herself, permanently. Hal goes, whoa, hey there, I don't reciprocate these feelings, to the which Arisia says, I know you liked me as a girl. We can see what you think of me as a woman. You wouldn't bother to tell me that if you didn't care, and if the thought weren't on your mind. What kind of villain? Correction, no. Hal is the villain because she's kind of spitting. If he weren't interested, he wouldn't egg on her feelings. In fact, the last panel of this comic is him making out with her. They done got the squirrel like, They then try to convince the readers why this relationship is okay. Jon Stewart is naturally uncomfortable because he's smart and an adult, and gosh darn, they gaslight the freak out of my boy. As they continue to make out on the boss's dollar, she says, "It'll take a while for them to stop thinking of me as a girl, but they will. I just have to show them I'm the same Arisia they knew, only better." Hal Jordan responds saying, "And I have to show them I'm not a child molester." Aight, bro. Eventually, after moving in together and many instances of shacking up, they break up. Arisia loses her ring and goes on to become a model on Earth, seeing as she now has a bombshell body. That was a quote from the book, not my own words. Fast forward a few years and she has no more memory of the events, and she is absolutely miserable. Held to the strict, pervasive, and evil and predatory practices of the modeling industry, she finds herself absolutely fed up with everything in an unhappy and lonely life that started because an adult she trusted misused that trust to fulfill his own selfish gratifications. While she's in the dirt, he gets off scot-free. In fact, he's lauded as the hero. I would honestly say it's a brilliant commentary on statutory rape and arguments of minors being able to consent, but I don't think the writers thought that far ahead. This was a horrible idea that somehow got past several writers, editors, and publishers, and honestly, everyone involved needs to be absolutely ashamed of themselves. It's no wonder why this story has started kind of going under the hot lens these last few months, because this is peak cringe. Speaking of which, Jason Todd and Talia al Ghul. Here's a hot take of mine. I don't think members of your family should date each other. Oh, the reason I said it's a hot take is because the Bat family disagrees. There's a lot to unpack here, but I have to start talking about one person specifically. Something to know about me: I hate Talia al Ghul. Talia is just one of the vilest examples in media of she's attractive, so it's okay. Talia al Ghul only exists to be an open object of sexual gratification in DC Comics. I'm not gonna go all cornball during this video, but she is literally the definition of the male gaze. But Rayshawn, Talia is the leader of the League of Assassins when Ra's al Ghul. Bro, why are you here? While that's true, and I'm sure that there are stories where she is written well, I hope, I've yet to see any story where she does anything other than be seductive, commit sexually charged crimes, and die. You would think in this vast multiverse we would get some sort of rendition that is at least she's so bad I love to hate her. I bring all of this up because yes, your ears don't deceive you. Jason Todd and Talia al Ghul canonically have done woohoo. In Red Hood Lost Days chapter 6, it's revealed that after he was revived with the Lazarus Pit, Talia emotionally manipulated a mentally fragile and emotionally erratic Jason Todd take what is most important to Batman. Now, Jason isn't the most innocent person, but a relationship or even a fling based on coercion is no good. On its own, this isn't nearly as bad as some of the ships we've mentioned already. It's a case of emotional manipulation by a person whose power comes from being emotionally manipulative. Yet, somehow, there still manages to be a worse relationship with Talia al Ghul. Batman is one of the most iconic heroes of all time, and every Batman needs his Robin. Jason Todd is Robin number 2. You scroll down a little bit and you're introduced to Robin number 4, Damian Wayne. Damian is a byproduct of assault. In Batman and Son, Batman is reintroduced to Talia al Ghul, the princess of the League of Assassins. She announces that her and Batman had a romantic night, to which Batman admits that he was drugged and doesn't even remember it. She then just drops off Damian on his front door and goes, "He's yours now, raise him." This one isn't even a relationship, more so just open and blatant assault that's almost entirely swept under the rug. In fact, the only times they make a reference to it is like in jokes.
I must insist that you use protection. And another thing, cover your drink.
Goodbye, Damian.
This isn't cool. In context where the tone is meant to be taken entirely seriously, you can't have someone this serious be treated so lightly. It's like Chekhov's gun, except it never shoots. Assault, when taken in a serious context, should be taken seriously. And honestly, I think a big reason for this, I feel like comics are a little too afraid that if they cast too much attention, it'll make Batman seem less powerful. What's crazy about all of this is that if the writers full sent and made it so that Talia was a verifiable, unapologetic, bold type-faced villain who was willing to sleep with both father and dead son, instead of portraying her heinous actions as just a little manipulative and quirky, it would literally be 10,000 times better than the Garbo that we have now. You know I'm not a good person, but I'm not bad enough for you to hate. It's almost like DC is afraid that if Batman grappled with what happened to him, he'd be seen as less powerful, like he wasn't a good hero. We couldn't have our power fantasies with Batman if he didn't enjoy having sex with everything that had a pulse, even if it was non-consensual. But needing to process and heal from things like these only make you stronger. Can you imagine a story where a stoic, closed-off Bruce Wayne has to grapple with all of these additional responsibilities because he doesn't want anyone getting too close since the events of Jason Todd? Then he has this wound opened up by Talia and he's forced to have this new Robin by his side and forced to have others with him to help. It would give a natural arc and a more honest and heroic twist to the super stoic, infallible Batman we've been seeing in recent years. I like the thought of Bruce and Damian both being instrumental in their personal healings from the sins of the Al Ghuls. Not just, Damian, killing's wrong. Killing's wrong. It's crazy that nobody really takes this seriously, and I don't want to be one of those guys, but could you imagine if something like this happened in a Wonder Woman story? Would we take it more seriously then? Or better yet, can you imagine if this just never happened in the first place and they had a consenting relationship? I mean, you think about it, and there's so many renditions where Superboy is a clone. Why don't they do the same for Damian if they don't want to tread that water? Is it because it'd be too close to... Ooh. What if I told you there was one ship here that had every single bad aspect we talked about today? A mega unholy relationship that ruins several characters, includes incest, home wrecking, grooming, and betrayal. Bruce Wayne and Barbara Gordon, also known as Batman and the Batgirl. I do not care for the ship. In fact, I think it would take a lot of talent from a writer to reproduce a ship this bad. Let's break it down. Bruce Wayne's parents are killed in a dark alleyway, and there he meets and is comforted by the then young officer James Gordon. Still tortured by that fateful night, Bruce undertakes a mission to clean up Gotham City of crime, so no child would have to go through that again. He reunites with the now Commissioner Gordon, only under the secret identity of the Batman. Their relationship is formed on mutual trust, understanding, and a desire to do what is right.
You know, you see a lot in this job, a lot of pain, a lot of suffering. But I'll never forget taking a witness statement from an 8-year-old boy who'd just seen his parents gunned down.
You were kind, Jim.
I was thinking, I may never get a chance to tell you this, to say sorry.
You don't need to.
We're the same, Bruce. We'd do anything for our family.
So what if I told you that an adult Bruce decides to start having flings with the Commissioner's daughter, who he's known since she was a child? Would you call that character assassination? Because I definitely would. There is nothing I could say that could properly explain why this is horrid. There is no conditions where this ship can be considered morally acceptable. This one comes specifically from the Batman of the Batman animated series from the 90s and the Batman Beyond comic run, which is so crazy because Bruce Timm legit has made some of the best Batman content out there. Without this man, Harley Quinn literally doesn't exist, but gosh darn! Is it weird to say that this ship actually makes everything else kinda gross? Quality in art is subjective, but I have a bit of a quirk when it comes to judging media. If it makes me so uncomfortable that I have to pretend it doesn't exist to enjoy it, then it's bad writing. It's kind of like pervs in anime. OMG, I love Jiraiya. Ooh, bro spying on underage girls again. It's not just a teenage girl's crush on a trusted adult so much as it is that same adult acting on those advances. This gets even worse when Barbara begins dating Nightwing, who, if you're new around here, is Batman's son. While this relationship is more acceptable, they didn't commit. While Nightwing is looking for wedding rings to propose to Batgirl, Batgirl is trying to figure out how to tell him that she's pregnant with another man's baby, his dad. When Barbara tells Bruce that the baby is here, his first question is, does this change anything between us? This fella has literally beaten up Darkseid before and goes, well, do what you think is best. And then when his conscience hits him, he can't even muster the courage to tell his son as his dad. Bro pulls up to the crib as Batman. Meanwhile, Barbara goes out to fight crime not dressed as Batgirl with what I can only assume is a conscious attempt to lose the baby. Then they fast forward to the future and Dick is like, we all did things we regret. Oh, really, Richard? The fact that this relationship was shoved into the only animated rendition of The Killing Joke when literally nobody likes it. To this day, I have not met a single person who has once said, you know, I really like Batman and Batgirl. That's a really solid ship. It's so gross. It's disgusting. It's selfish. It's silly. It's evil. It's manipulative. It's backstabbing. It's gross. There's nothing good or justifiable about this relationship, and it needs to be left in history. I'm not gonna lie, when I saw that Bruce Timm was in charge of the new Batman series, I kind of got shivers up my spine. If I were to teach a college course on how to properly assassinate several characters, I would use this. Now, with that being said, I can understand the writer's decision to an extent with this, because the Batman from Batman Beyond isn't supposed to be a good guy. He's Batman first, even if it means he's a horrible person without the mask. But this isn't a video about weird character decisions. It's a video about bad romances with superheroes that need to be left behind forever. So Barb and Bruce gets a negative 10 out of 10. Don't do it again. This video is a bit of a departure of the regular videos I make, but I had a lot of fun making it. I don't have much Marvel on this list because I'm a DC nerd, but if you know of any bad Marvel relationships, please let me know some of your least favorites and I might do a part 2. Like I said at the beginning, the point of this video isn't to insult any characters or so on and so forth, but more so to discuss some of the poor decisions that can be made when writers take being dark a little too far. But with that being said, only this % of people watch the outros of my videos, so I'm gonna stop here. Love you.